Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, shalom, shalom, shalom. We made it to the middle of the week. I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are blessed. I hope you all have the baruch of the creator of the universe in your life. And I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this reading. And for those who hang out with me often, I'm always telling you guys little tidbits of information here and there about just my world, my life, the world that we encounter. And we definitely have a interesting life in of itself, but because of where we are, smack dab right out in the middle of a tropical rainforest, this jungle, it is something that it gets a little more insight into things that a lot of you guys who are stuck in the concrete kingdom or who aren't out in the smack dab right in the middle of this beautiful nature that our creator has made. And yesterday, every Tuesday we go, and I've talked to you guys about this before, we go to this, what they call a gringo market. Now, being a gringo isn't like a slur or a racist thing per se, although we are labeled completely gringos by those who are locals. And I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think they like the gringos. In fact, they told us to begin with, the reason they say gringo, because they want us to go. They don't want us to be here. And I laughed and chuckled, but I've always remembered that statement from them as we learned their world down here and learned this environment. But every Tuesday we go to this gringo market. And I told you about the larger gal that can't stop hitting on one of my twins, Jaden. Now, this gal, yesterday I was sitting around and I heard, Jaden. And I look over and she's like, why won't you date me, Jaden? Why won't you go out with me? Why don't we hang out and have some fun? And, that's the last thing my sons would ever do is go hang out with the Gentiles in this nature, because we've studied scripture long enough to realize that the boys are looking for a wife. They're not looking for a one night stand or a fling or a girlfriend in the sense of, their minds and their eyes are on the kingdom work. And one of the things about when you read scriptures and you read about the 144,000, and the Jehovah's Witnesses think they're all the 144,000. They think that they have it all figured out, and there's a collective of them that the 144. But scriptures very clearly says things that part of the 144 is you're not defiled by man or woman, which means you've probably been celibate for your entire life. So right out of the gate, that's done for me and done for my wife. But my kids still have an opportunity in this. And so I didn't even go down this path. I'm going down the wrong road here. But let us correct into the right track. Because as we were, we get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's 3:15 in the morning when we get up. And we are out of the house here in the jungles. And it takes us a bit to get out of the jungles because we're in a place where you only have 4x4s to get to. And you got to cross all this crazy stuff before you ever actually literally hit a real road, which is a gravel road, before you ever hit, pavement, which is still on the outskirts of everywhere. So we're deep in the jungles. And so by the time we make it there, it's about 5:15 or so, and we begin and we start grabbing all of these tables that are in this very back room where they store all these vendors' tables. And Jaden runs the tables out, and Eli and I are moving other tables and all this other stuff. And it's literally a bar. It is a bar that is closed, I think, like at 1 or 2 in the morning. And like 2.5 hours later, we are there. And it always feels like the Roadhouse. If you guys have ever seen that movie, The Roadhouse, and I would not watch it, it's totally satanic, very, very nasty. But back in the days when I was watching movies, the basis of the Roadhouse is that it is a dive. It is one of these places that people are writing all over the walls. A place is just, when you hang out with a place where drunks are established and the part of the entire business is getting people liquored up. it's not a nice place. And so we're always kind of like, it's a foul place to be. And you know, I wish there was, wish it was like at a fairgrounds or something like that. But unfortunately, the people that own the market and do this, they've done this at the bar. So anyway, we are rolling through this bar yesterday, and we are bringing all our tables and all the stuff out. Now, out of nowhere, outside where the lights are, and again, it's still really, really dark, there is massive, I don't know what they are. They're 50-cent piece style bugs, and they come from all over. It reminded us of like the plagues of Mitzrayim. Like when you are sitting here wondering about the flies and the gnats and all the kind of lice and things that were coming around, and these things were large, and they would fly around, and they fall over and they die. Like I don't know what their seasons of life are exactly, but they come flying around. And so all of a sudden, the ground was covered with them. They were still kind of alive, upside down, dying. And it's like it was almost Mission Impossible. These things were everywhere. And so I'm getting a push broom, and I'm pushing them out. And then all of a sudden, the frogs start coming out. And we're all kind of like sitting there fighting these ginormous bugs, and they'll attach to your skin. They'll bite you. These things bite. And you know, we're like trying to, it's just like a war zone, and they were everywhere, hundreds of these things. Well, the frogs come out, right? And the frogs are just sitting there, and I'd sweep it to a big pile and stick it on other frogs, and the frog would jump over to, and there'd be like two of them on their backs about to die. And this frog went, put his tongue out there, sucked up two of those things, just like that. And it sits there, and his eye would bulge up, like, power up. And I was like, wow, guys, look, check this out, the frogs. And so we're sweeping them into the frogs. The frogs are having a heyday, and they are just pounding down these things. And I can't help but think to myself about how incredible the cycle of nature and the cycle of life is. From everything that we experience out in these jungles to just the cycle of ending up in your mother's womb, popping on out, having food that is produced by your mom, to the ability to start babbling, to the stumbling around, to where you can walk, to where you can experience this kind of life, to where you live and you get older, and every birthday is like the most amazing thing, and then pretty soon the birthdays become something that are more of a testament of your demise, that you know that you're not going to, you're not getting any younger, and it's something that I couldn't help but thank my Elohim that he created me, that he gave me a purpose, that he picked me, and that he picked all of you guys out there, and that every single one of us are so unique, and that we are just a part of this giant cycle of life, that we're living under this giant firmament where we have our enclosed dome, and we have the sun and the moon that are local to us, and we have heat, and we have a night light with the moon, and we have the cycles of the moon to tell time. It is just an incredible experience. And it's one of these things that, you know, when you look at things through these kind of lenses, when you realize how good our Creator has made things, and then you look at the other end of the spectrum of the world that we are becoming with Hasatan, as evil and nasty as he has been for all these years, and all these people that follow him. You know, we were talking about what appears to be a fake production in Iran and Israel. And, you know, we had word from one of our sisters that was talking to people in Israel, and they're saying, you know, what they're selling to the West has nothing to do with what's even going on. And what's even crazier is the supposed sites that they hit in Israel during this so-called 12-day war were all sites that were set to be destroyed, and they were going to bring up giant high-rises for tourists. And so when you look at this, and you look at who owns who, and when the events of 2019 and 2020 came to pass, that was when you were very, very clear that this was a new world order, that this was a one world government. You had every single government of the world that was complicit with the hoaxing of everybody out there, telling people to put things on and put things in them and to do this and to stay away 6 feet. All of this stuff. It was obvious that we are in the end times, and every single person and every single government is complicit with it. And one of the things about YouTube, and I stress, guys. I stress because our Messiah has said things that if you want to be in the kingdom, even as great as John the Immerser was, he's going to be lesser than those who make the kingdom. And, one of my main flaws is that I'm not Messiah-like. I fall so far short from a kingdom person. And it only takes a few comments on YouTube as the people we call the Trumpsters, they come out, the MAGA people, they come out, and I'm always talking about how satanic Donald Trump is. He's a pawn, he's a puppet. He's a puppeteer of all of this stuff. And you could see it under his first term with his warp speed that he enabled, that he did, and everybody, it came out of the United States of America. And he takes great credit for that. And now everybody's like, oh, well, everybody's starting to see what's really going on here. But there's always going to be the people that are always asleep, sound asleep. And so I struggle a lot of times, it's simple stuff like a dude pulls out in front of me, slam on my brakes, and I feel like I need to chuck a brick through his window, right? These are the kind of things and the kind of actions that my heart and my thoughts produce. And I always wonder, am I ever going to make the kingdom? Am I ever even qualified to make the kingdom? But yet we read through scriptures and we realize that there's a lot of rogue guys. There's a lot of really, guys that say a lot of bad things that aren't exactly the most Kodesh. And every single day is a struggle within myself to walk this narrow path even tighter than the day before. And there isn't a day that I ever am like, you know what, I'm saved. I'm going to make this kingdom. I'm like, this is no sweat. It's easy to make this. Because I don't think it is. When we read through all of this Apocrypha and when you read through the regular scriptures, it's very clear that not a lot of people make it. So why would I think that I'm any different, even though I'm trying? And that's the thing about the scriptures is we know we have a merciful Elohim. We know we have a just judge. We know that we have a creator who has created us and loves us immaculately. And that everything that is and is done is based because the will of our creator allows it to happen. And so there's all of these religious systems out there that are, oh, you're saved, you're saved, you're saved. In Mormons, you can get baptized at 8 years old. You can say a little prayer here and there, a little ditty, a little jam. And, I lived in Christian church all my life with Baptists. We were good Baptists. We were saving everybody. We always went to church camps and all of these extracurricular, these Bible things. And everybody there was just getting the kids to raise their hand and to say a little prayer. And not a single one of these people ever said, hey, you know what? There's a moral code and a moral compass and a moral guidelines that are part of the requirements of this kingdom walk. And when you read the scriptures, when you read the first 5 books of scriptures, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and then you read the rest of the scriptures about how everybody failed keeping these commandments of our creator, and we live in this world of a religious system where nobody even gives a rip. It's even lesser than the children of Yisrael who broke the commandments, knowing they broke the commandments, because we don't even have commandments in this day and age. Not a single religion out there puts any value whatsoever upon the most precious things that we have ever been given, which when you get through scriptures and you read it slowly as a love letter from our creator to us, I don't see how anybody could ever say anything different. I don't know how anyone could ever say the laws mean nothing or the laws are nailed to the cross. When you look at the writings of Paul, and there's a lot of you guys out there who are very much against anything with Paul, and I'll admit to you, I'm not a Paul fan. I am not a Paul fan. But at the same time, people have to understand that most of the writings of Paul were not even attributed to the same person. So you might have two books that are total Torah keeping, Torah observant books where that was literally Paul. And then you had the Catholic Church and they brought in all these other letters and all these other things. And when you were done, you ended up with a book that was 66 books, right? How is it possible we end up with that magical number, 66, right? It is one of these things, the occultists and all these bad people of Satan, they all are into their numbers. They're all into their numerology, and they're like, yeah, the 66 cannot be beat. Everything else, oh, it's not part of our doctrine. But yet, all of these books, a lot of the Apocrypha books were in the canon to begin with. They were in the original text. And they've been ripped out by these lying scribes who have decided that, that's not good for what we believe in. And if you didn't have the words of Paul in scriptures, there would be not a single scripture anywhere that people would go, oh man, the laws are no more. But yet you end up with, 1/8 of the scriptures at the end of a bunch of little letters here and there that aren't even to us, that somehow ended up in these scriptures. And at the end of the day, it looks to me like a test, like a bunch of tares that have been tossed in amongst the beautiful wheat. And you either take the tares and that becomes your family, or you take the tares and you rip them up and you toss them out and say, this can't be. How can this be that 7/8 of the scriptures, or even more, because when you include the Apocrypha, there's not a single book like Paul's. There's nothing. There's nothing in the Apocrypha ever says that the laws have been abolished. The laws have been fulfilled. Like we don't need to keep them. Right? In context, there's not one jot or tittle of the Torah that'll ever be gone until heaven and earth pass away. And we all see heaven and we all see earth all around us in every single day. So we need to be very astute in our understanding and understand that there's a tremendous amount of evil in this world that comes with the R word, that comes with religion, that comes with these deceivers and these people that are always trying to lead us astray. So in our efforts of trying to walk this narrow path every single day to the very best of our abilities, it is imperative that the Torah is the foundational, fundamental piece of our walk. We're not going to have a Messiah if we have rejected the Torah. Messiah says he rejects us. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. So in his own words, he rejects the lawless. What right would we ever have to think something differently? And so, guys, I hope that every single day that you guys strive a little bit harder to find this narrow path. I hope and pray that our merciful Elohim will forgive things like my hard heart, my quick tongue, my dousing fire onto those who comment evilly into the comment section, right? I have such a hard time. And it should probably be more like David. I should probably go into a cave and not worry about what's going on in the rest of the world and not worry about what people are even saying in the comments. But I'm always out there, and instead of me doing things in love and how I should be doing them, I just fight. I fight. And it's easier, especially on YouTube, especially to tell people differently. And the thing is, people aren't being nice. People aren't sitting there asking a question. People are sitting there attacking you, calling you a heretic, a viper, a Satanist. Yesterday, somebody told me I needed an exorcism. And instead of me just shutting up, I said, hey, I already left the United States of America. I already had my exorcism. And then I continue on into talking about how Donald Trump is very satanic. And this person had Texas Blues or something in their name. And I just didn't shut up. And so, guys, maybe you guys can pray for me out there. I always pray for all of you guys out there. Maybe we can continue on making it to the kingdom with the kingdom walk and trying to be a better person every single day and trying to be more like Messiah. I know Messiah wasn't snarky like this. I know Messiah was able to turn the other cheek and do things of impossibilities or what feels like impossibilities for my walk. But if our example is John the Baptist, John the Immerser, who we know was the cousin of Messiah, who walked these lands in a very, very good form, we got a lot of work to do. And so let's continue circumcising our hearts. Let's continue observing this and never come to the understanding that, we're just saved and nothing else is going to stop this, because, we are all in this test until we take our final breath. And then that's when our papers get graded. That's when our life gets graded. And the only thing that we can ever protect from this entire world is our souls, which is why it's something that is worth fighting for. And so, guys, I got some exciting news on Yah Scriptures. You big-hearted people out there, there's a couple of you huge-hearted people, and I think we're within $200 or $300 of having this completely funded. And this morning, I saw the Apple app almost completed. There was just a couple of fixes I had. The copy and paste wasn't doing exactly what I was hoping for, and it's just about to go to the Apple Store. So before this week is up, it's going to be going to the Apple Store, which means they'll put it in for review. Once it is up there, every single one of you guys that donated will forever be handing out free scriptures. And so, guys, thank you so much. Man, the people of Yah are just so amazing. You all are so amazing. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so humbled by the people of Yah, by the amazing people. And wow, yeah, just it's amazing. You guys have done something that will last for hopefully as long as the world's out there, right? I'm sure Apple's not going to go anywhere. I'm sure Google's not going to go anywhere. So this will be on the Play Store free of charge. 103 books, restored and named scriptures. And for anybody out there that actually watches this in Spanish, if somebody is out there, this is our next endeavor, is to put both, because we now have the code for the Apple version and for the Android version. All we have to do, well, I'm not going to say all we have to do, but we got to go through and translate this properly into whatever language you want to put out there next. And I think Spanish is our next language. I think Mandarin is the #1 language out there. I don't know if we'll ever be astute enough to put this into Mandarin, but we're going to put this out there, and instead of it being Dios, because that is, they've tricked every language there is and taken the name of our Creator out. We're going to put it into Spanish. So, guys, pray that this is an endeavor that Boss Clan is able to do. I'm starting to get ready to task my kids with a lot of this work. It's going to take us a lot of time. It's actually hard. I did some pre-work on this to see exactly how hard it was. And it's a doable project, but it's going to be a bit. So this will actually have several different apps. And so the Yah Scriptures is going out. For the Android app will be its own app. The Spanish version will be its own app. And so everybody will have their own versions of this. And this is how we can get to the four corners of these plains and to where we can literally get this word out. And the thing about these apps is it does not require an internet connection. So once you guys download this, you'll have it forever. And so that's the power of this. There's no privacy things. There's no internet needed. There's no data that's returned back. We don't report on anything. We don't care who opens it. We don't care anything. We hope you guys open it. We hope that you guys read it. We hope that you guys write this on your hearts, minds, and souls. But this is the portable version that is going worldwide, thanks to all of you guys out there. So keep us in prayer on that. What you're looking at right before you guys is you're looking at the Yah Scriptures, the big blue book. And I had another individual that got on YouTube, and I said this is a limited edition. And so we have this brother that gets up there and goes, "Oh, it's limited edition. No, you're just making it a limited edition. A book this important, you're making it a limited edition." And of course, I can't help myself, and I explained to him This was over $60,000 to begin with to get this big blue version to China printed and back to the States. Yes, I had to take out this really high risk loan to make this happen, which is why it is a limited edition. To ever be able to do this again, I won't be able to take out a loan again. It was a one-time loan, and so the hand of Yah has to work to make this work. What we do have is we have the paperback version, which are just about to ship. It's a 66. We've gone to that magical number again. It's the 66 only because we could not fit the Apocrypha into it, because going into, we're not going to have a little itty bitty book like War and Peace that was just really, really super thick. So this is limited edition. It is still available. There are a lot of copies still left. So it's not like it's gone. This is still the cheapest scriptures you will ever find anywhere. It's 14.5 font. It means it's large font, has all the books, has all the restored name of our Creator and His Son, all our forefathers, and it's still there. So if you guys want to get this, please get it. And also please understand it is limited edition, because I don't have another capability of these high-risk loans. I don't have Guido who is going to come break my legs if I don't pay him back. I don't have that option anymore. And no, I didn't have to go to Guido, but I'm just saying it's a high-risk loan of magnitude that we did this all on faith. We did all of this on faith just to make sure that we are able to get this out. And it looks like it's working. So if it continues to work, then I hope this isn't a limited edition print. I hope we'll do revision 2 of this at some point. But there's, who knows with the crazy hoaxes in the world that we are into right now. So guys, let us get into our reading today. We are into 2nd Ezra right now. And it is a beautiful, beautiful scriptures. It is one of these things that if you have not read to this point, we are in the last 2 chapters. But if you are not caught up, I'm going to get you caught up right now. And this has been one of the greatest reads with some of the most amazing people out there. And I hope you guys agree that this has been one of these ordained reads. It's only 16 chapters, but they're very long, and we have really been putting this down. Some of these have been over an hour and a half. It's just been a lot of talking and a lot of reading, a lot of discussing. And I know lives are changed out there, and my life has been changed because of this reading. And every time I read the Apocrypha, it doesn't matter what book it is, it's a life changer. And after this, I think we're going to jump into Enoch, because this is so close to the same stuff, a lot of stuff that Enoch says, that I think we can make a very good read out of Enoch and read this as a family and have another good time. Because Enoch's a big book, but it's not as, I don't think it's, when it comes down to it, it's pretty small chapters in comparison to these chapters. So let's do a recap right here. Chapters 1 and 2 of 2nd Ezra. Yahuwah rebukes Yisrael for their rebellion and rejects them, turning his favor to the Gentiles. Yet he comforts the faithful and promises crowns of life to those who endure. The righteous will be honored, while sinners will perish. Chapters 3 through 6, Ezra questions why Yisrael suffers, while the wicked prosper. The angel Uriel explains that Yahuwah's ways are beyond man's understanding. Signs of the end are revealed. Disaster, chaos, and the fall of Esau's kingdom, leading to Yisrael's rise. 2nd Ezra 7 through 9 talks very about the narrow path. The path, the same stuff that I talk about all the time. My worries is, am I walking this narrowly enough? Do I have my kids walking this narrowly enough? It says in that salvation is like a narrow path over dangers, and only a few will find life. The present world is full of sin, but a better one is coming. Praise Yah. We're looking for that. Ezra is told the righteous will be saved, but most will perish. The end will bring great signs, shaking of the nations. Now, 2nd Ezra 10 and 10 through 12, the woman, the eagle, and our Messiah. Ezra sees a mourning woman who represents Jerusalem. He then sees a great eagle, the final empire, often linked to Rome, that is destroyed by the roaring lion, the Messiah. The angel explains the eagle's fall and the coming restoration of Yisrael. Now, 2nd Ezra 13 and 14, the return of the sun and restoring of the books. Ezra sees the son of Elohim rising from the sea, destroying armies with fire from his mouth and gathering the lost tribes. Yahuwah commands Ezra to rewrite the sacred books, 24 for the people and 70 for the wise, preparing for the coming judgment. Now, what's incredible about all of this is that, you know, there's still a lot of writings that a lot of us don't have. A lot of us will never, ever have. And, you know, according to what Scriptures is, this is the fourth book of Ezra. And so, you know, we had Ezra and Nehemiah, and then first Ezra, second Ezra. And so we don't know exactly how, when, what order things were written in per se. But we do know that there's certain books, like the book of Noah. There's the book of Noah's herbs that are out there that, you know, the Catholics probably have a tremendous amount of these things, and they stuck it in their little satanic Vatican. But as far as, you know, what we have, I'm extremely grateful for these 103 books in Yah Scriptures. I'm extremely grateful for this Apocrypha and for the ability that all of us have in these end days. And so, guys, the Apple version looks identical, absolutely identical, right? I was just going through the Apple version today. One of the changes I had is in the Apple version, if I made any changes inside of here, it immediately took me back to here. So now when I make a change for font and things, that will leave us in here. Also, we can turn on night mode, just like that. And you have the Torah commands, right? You have all of these beautiful, beautiful laws of our Creator that are reiterated with chapters, verses, numbers, all of this stuff. You have all 103 books. You have the Tanakh, the First Covenant. You have the Besorah. You have all of the renewed covenant that is in here. And then you have what we're reading out of right now, the Apocrypha. And so you get all of these inside of this. And if you guys have an Android device right now, this is free of charge. There's been hundreds and hundreds of downloads of this off of the Play Store. There's been tens of thousands off of our YHWH.com. You guys can just put that together, YHWH.com, and go to the website and click on downloads. It's all free of charge. Everything is free. The PDFs are small enough. There's the regular 66 PDF, and then there's also the 37 book Apocrypha. And they're small enough that you guys can email these around. We made these small enough that everybody anywhere is able to take these and to deliver them worldwide. And so this is why we have been sharing this word. It is an amazing, amazing read. And here we are, guys. For those of us who have made it through all of these really long chapters, we only have one more day. We only have one more reading until we are done with the second book of Esdras. And let us get into what this is saying. Let me grab a little sip of a drink real quick. Thank you. Appreciate it. Here we go. 2nd Esdras 15. See? Speak in the ears of my people the words of Nevuah, which I have put in your mouth, says Yahuwah. Okay, so a quick recap of what's happening right here. There's a bunch of scribes that are sitting out here, fast writers, people that were qualified and named by the Creator himself, people who were astute, articulate, and could write fast. And Ezra is hanging out with these guys, and they are writing a bunch of books. And so when it says, see, speak in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, Nevuah, this is what Yahuwah says. And cause them to be written on paper, for they are trustworthy and true. Do not fear the schemes against you. Do not let the unbelief of those who speak against you trouble you. For all the unbelieving shall die in their unbelief. Sketchy stuff, right? We've heard all of this. You know, I never got the second book of Ezra as good as I got it when I've been reading it with you guys. And one of the things that, you know, my dear old Christian mother is so locked into her Christian faith where she hates the laws of our Creator, doesn't care about them. I've been worried forever and ever and ever. And dear old mom is never, ever going to have her eyes open. Not that I can see. I try every single week. But she doesn't want to hear it. She rejects it. She loves her little Christian friends and her church that she does and all her church stuff. But the second book of Ezra very clearly tells us about not worrying about those who don't make it. That they've had their opportunity. They had their chance. And I don't think the kingdom to come is going to be us full of fear about all of the people that don't make it. because according to scriptures, most people don't make it. And right here again, our Creator reiterates this, that all the unbelieving will die in their unbelief. It's like they will never, ever see it, even to their deathbed. And it is sad. But what we have to dwell upon are those who we can throw seeds to that will fall upon good dirt, that will yield 100-fold. That's the power of our Creator. And those, when we were reading the book of the Nazarene, which is in Yah Scriptures, it's the very last book, and we've gone over this as a family as well. And it was a very, very large book that we were reading. I don't think as big as it, maybe it is as big as it might be, but it is. It's very, very clear that Messiah talks about this gut feeling, I guess you would call it, or the calling that our Creator has given to every man, person, child, woman, everybody, right? We don't walk these lands without being called by our Creator, and it is up to us, however it is possible, to wake up and to care enough about the kingdom to come, to care enough about our own souls that we start reading scriptures. And when we read scriptures for ourselves and we can get rid of the blinders that they put on us as like horses, that's when we actually see the truth. So we don't need to worry about those who will not be saved. Again, it is a concern, but most aren't saved. So, it is what it is. 5. Look, says Yahuwah, I shall bring plagues upon the world, the sword, scarcity of food, death, and destruction. For wickedness has polluted the whole earth exceedingly, and their evil works are complete. Therefore, says Yahuwah, I shall hold my tongue no more in regard to their wickedness, which they do evilly. Neither shall I tolerate them in that which they wickedly engage themselves. See, the blood of the innocent and righteous cry out to me, and the beings of the righteous protest continually. And therefore, says Yahuwah, I shall surely avenge them, and receive all the innocent blood from among them to me. See, my people are led as a flock to the slaughter. I shall not allow them to now dwell in the land of Mitzrayim. But I shall bring them with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and smite Mitzrayim with plagues as before, and shall destroy all its land. Now, we're talking about a metaphoric Mitzrayim, right? The slave lands that we are all in. According to scriptures, there's 10 lost tribes, lost to this very day. And if you are waking up in whatever land that you are waking up, if you have been called by the Most High to be Torah observant, to be a child of the Most High, that is the hand of our Creator that is waking us up from all over here, right? And all of us have come from Mitzrayim. We're not in the old days of Mitzrayim, but we are in the new world of Mitzrayim. We have idols all around us. I hate to pick on North America, but the Statue of Liberty is ISIS, right? There's all of these idols from coast to coast. You go to every park and there's idols of something or the other. You go to these Catholic churches and there's idols of Mary and Messiah and Peter and Paul and all these people. They're all over, and they're graven images. They're things that we have been called not to do. And it's the same thing as is back in the days, right? It's not the exact time, but the time has progressed, and there's so many idols and so much evil and so much demonology all around us every single day. It is astounding. See, my people are led to flock as a flock to the slaughter. I shall not allow them to now dwell in the land of Mitzrayim, but I shall bring them out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and smite Mitzrayim with plagues as before, and shall destroy all its land. Mitzrayim shall mourn, and its foundation shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Elohim brings upon it. Those who till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blight and hail and from a frightening storm. Woe to the world and those who dwell in it, for the sword and their destruction draws near, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be an uproar among men, and they shall invade one another with no regard for their sovereigns nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their strength. You know, what's interesting is, the Donald just did a huge hoax when they supposedly took their B-2s and bombed these nuclear enrichment facilities into the ground. And he said the greatest military. He called it Operation Midnight Hammer. And all of a sudden, you look at the book of Revelations and it talks about the hammer of the whole world that gets destroyed. And he was talking about how great this was and all these operations. And the day came out later, and all the pictures of these so-called doomed nuclear facilities, everything was good. Nothing had been destroyed. There was a couple of rocks out of place, but towns that were right below these nuclear facilities, there wasn't a window broken. People were going around, music was playing. They had no idea that what was being sold to the Western media. So all of a sudden, we are living in an age of deception. And we've been in this age of deception for a very, very long time. But then you have, I told you guys this was all a hoax and it was leading. This is not real. This is not how real war is conducted. But yet you had Donald Trump that was thanking the Iranians for telling them they were going to shoot missiles into Qatar, Al-Qadar, the U.S. base. We got the news out that the missiles were flying into this. And then you have the Orange Man, the supreme leader of the satanic cult of North America. And he says, thank you, Iran, for telling us ahead of time the missiles were coming. If that doesn't tell you this entire thing is a hoax, I don't know what it is. And then they're like, you know what? We're going to have peace now. Donald Trump's like, wow, welcome to peace. And so we all have this peace and security. Nothing is real. When you see stuff on the television, it was all fake, phony, and false. All of these so-called attacks at Tel Aviv and all of these things, it was low-end productions. And I remember seeing the Iranian TV that supposedly got hit, and the lady that was sitting there, and she became like the spokesman for this whole thing. And when you watch the footage of this, supposedly a building just got nailed with a ginormous missile. And it looked like some of the stuff they put on Christmas trees. Some of that little the fake snow stuff went flying through the air, and she was saying something like, "We just got hit by our enemies of truth." And it was like 6 hours later, the TV was back online. That they were going at it again. And I thought to myself back then at that point, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. They were just able to have this entire place bombed to go back online in 6 hours. This is insane. And then as this fake war continued on, it's obvious that we're all being played. And there's an agenda for everything, because what happens is real events will come out of these fake events. What they will do is they will run all these false flag operations on North America. All of a sudden, you'll have these Iranians that are blown up or something, and all of a sudden, the U.S. gets locked down even more. And this comes all on the heels of a place called Palantir that the Donald is using AI to inventory absolutely everybody in the U.S. All of what you're seeing right here is orchestrated by the New World Order, by the government. And to get the New World Order to completion, what they have to do is they have to disarm the North Americans, which is why you see event after event after event on the television programming. And you see these people that supposedly have lost sons and daughters in these so-called events. And we call them the dried freaks on 153news.net, because they've lost family members and all this stuff, but yet they don't muster a tear. You don't have a single tear coming out of their eyes. And so we either have the strongest people that have ever been on this earth, or everything is fabricated. And so this is for all of you guys with eyes to see and ears to hear, because I can't really say much about this on any platform other than 153news.net, because it's all part of the agenda. And if got guys like me that are saying things like this, they don't want people to hear this. Thank you, guys. Just took another sip. I'm trying to keep my voice from cracking here. All right, so continuing on, 16. For there shall be uproar among men, and they shall invade one another with no regard for their sovereigns nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their strength. A man shall desire to go into a city and not be able, For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Men shall have no compassion for his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and plunder their goods, because of the lack of bread and of great distress. You know, this reminds me of a guy that went over to Romania. And it was just, I just saw this the other day, and I was kind of fascinated. He came from the U.S., came from New York, and he was walking down an empty road in the morning where there were no people, no nothing. And he was like, look, guys, there's tables and chairs that are sitting out, not nailed down. He's like, there's a grand piano that's sitting out here. And he's like, in the United States, if you put something out there and left it out overnight, it would be stolen. You would have nothing left. And, you know, this is the age that we are into, is that, gone are the days of working for what you want. It's basically who can plunder who. And so I thought of that, and, you know, he was just so surprised being in Romania. He's like, man, I wonder if I should move to Romania. It looks completely sovereign when it comes to our people destroying everything that's out there. 20. See, says Elohim, I shall call together all the sovereigns of the earth to revere me, who are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Lebanon, to turn themselves one against another and repay what they have done to them. And they still today to my chosen, so I shall also do and repay into their bosom. Thus says Yahuwah Elohim. Excuse me. Guys, this is the world we live into right now, right? You have sovereign against sovereign. You have the Warhammer America. You have all of these people. You don't know what's real, what's fake, what they're doing. You know, all the real dirt they do without us even knowing it, right? The greatest military industrial complex ever seen is always out doing dirt in all of these countries, turning people against them, changing regimes all the time. 22. My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over those who shed innocent blood on the earth. The fire of his wrath has gone forth and consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners, like straw that is kindled. Woe to those who sin and do not guard my commands, says Yahuwah. I got to pause this. Hold on. Okay, into 24, guys. This is something that all of us need to understand, right? This is the same concept that is in all of the scriptures. When you look at the Christian religion, this is the motto of them. Woe to those who sin and do not guard my commands, says Yahuwah. And you ask any Christian, you ask any religion, well, what are the commands of Yahuwah? And they're like, well, we got the 10 commandments. But then you'll ask them, why aren't you keeping a seventh-day Shabbat? And they're like, well, we don't have to. Jesus came and changed that around. So this is from the words of our Creator. Woe to those who sin and do not guard my commands. The largest commandment in all of scriptures is to guard the commands of Yahuwah. That is what it is all about. Over 53 times in the first 5 books of scriptures, we are told that we need to be diligent in guarding these. When people say the laws are dead or on the cross, that's the words of doctrines of demons. That means these people have been possessed by an unclean spirit to tell them lies and to believe the lie that they have been believed. But it's very clear inside of scriptures that we need to guard these commands. And what commands do you ask? All the first 5 books of scriptures, the first 5 books of scriptures, and then all of the beautiful words of Messiah Yahushua, right? Messiah Yahushua came and gave us additions to the strength of the Torah. He gave us what his dad meant in these laws, statutes, and commandments as we walk these commands. It's very important that we know these commands, guard them, make them a part of our life. 25, I shall not spare them. Go your way, you unbelieving children. Do not defile my mikdash. For Yahuwah knows all those who sin against him. Therefore he gives them over to death and destruction. For now the plagues have come upon the whole earth, and you shall remain in them. For Elohim shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him. Look, a horrible vision and its appearance from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, for that all those who hear them fear and tremble. Also the Parisians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the forest, and they shall come in great strength and engage in battle with them, and shall destroy a portion of the land of Ashur. And then the dragons, remembering their nature, shall have the upper hand. And if they ally together, turning themselves in great strength to pursue them, then these shall be troubled and silenced by their strength, and shall flee. And the enemy shall besiege them from the land of Ashur, and consume some of them. And within their army shall be fear and dread and strife among their sovereigns. Look, clouds from the east and from the north to the south, and they are very horrible to look upon them, full of wrath and storm. They shall clash against one another, and they shall bring down a great number of storms on the earth, even their own storm. And from the sword there shall be blood to the waist, and dung of man to the camel's hock. And there shall be great fear and trembling on the earth, and those who have seen the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. This is the stuff we're trying to avoid. We don't want to be a part of this, guys. We don't want to be into the judged of this. We want to be obeying the words of the messenger that comes and takes us to the second Exodus. We want to be a kindred spirit with those who are in the Torah, those who are in the kingdom path. We want to be part of the government of Messiah and his dad. This is what we want to be. We don't want to see this great trembling, all this stuff, because we know that our last breaths, when we're done and we are taken to the bad place, it's a place of darkness. It's a place of doom. It's a place of foreverness that is never going to get better. And then great storms shall come from the south and from the north, and another part from the west, and strong winds shall rise from the east and shall prevail. And the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the storm stirred up, causing fear toward the east and west wind, shall be destroyed. The great and mighty clouds shall billow full of wrath, and the storm with which they make all the earth afraid, and those who dwell in it, and they shall pour out a horrible storm over every high and lofty place. Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, so that all fields and all rivers shall overflow with the exceedingly great amount of waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the forest and grass of the field and its grain. And they shall move steadily into Babel and cause her fear. They shall come to her and besiege her, pouring out the storm and all wrath upon her. Then the dust and smoke shall go up to the Shamaim, and all those who are around her shall bewail her. And those who remain under her shall do service to those who have put her in fear. And you, Asia, who shares in the expectancy of Babel, and are the esteem of her person. Woe to you, you wretch, because you have made yourself like her, and have adorned your daughters with whoring, that they might please and boast in your lovers, who have always desired to commit whoring with you. You have followed she who is hated in all her works and devices. Therefore, says Elohim, I shall send plagues upon you, widowhood, poverty, scarcity of food, sword and pestilence, to waste your dwellings with destruction and death. And the esteem of your strength shall be dried up as a flower. The burning that is sent upon you shall rise. You shall be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and like one flogged with wounds. So you shall not be received by your mighty lovers. Would I have proceeded against you so fervently, says Yahuwah, if you had not always slain my chosen, exulting and clapping your hands and speaking over their dead when you were drunk? Present your lovely face. The reward of your whoring shall be in your bosom. Therefore you shall be repaid. As you have done to my chosen, says Yahuwah, even so shall Elohim do to you, and shall hand you over to evil. Your children shall die of hunger, and you shall fall by the sword. Your cities shall be broken down, and all those in the field shall perish by the sword. Those who are on the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood from hunger of bread and thirst of water. Grieving, you shall pass through the sea and receive plagues again. And as they pass, they shall rush on the treacherous city, and shall destroy some portion of your land, and consume part of your esteem, and shall return to Babel, which was destroyed. And you shall be thrown down by them as stubble, and they shall be as fire to you, and it shall consume you in your cities, your land, and your mountains, and all your woods. They shall burn up your fruitful trees with fire. They shall carry your children away captive and see what you have. They shall plunder it and destroy the loveliness of your face. Wow. Guys, this is the end. This is the judgment of the world as we are more than likely under the hands of our Messiah as this is coming. I believe as this is happening, you have Messiah Yahushua who is reigning in Mount Zion, in the New Jerusalem, brought his people there. But yes, yet the rest of this world still evolves in evil. It still wants to fight everybody. It's still stealing from everybody. It's still Torahless. There's a world to come, my friends. And the world to come is going to be so much better than this world that is run by devils and demons and liars and thieves and destructionists. Guys, the Torah is good. The Torah is Kodesh. It is for all times, all generations, all peoples, all families. And when you walk in the Torah, when you take this breath of fresh air that comes from reading the Torah, writing the Torah on your hearts, life will change for you. Everything. Our directions will change. Our goals will change. Our priorities will change. All of a sudden, we can get rid of this pound of flesh that we have here as we work our way to the kingdom. And we don't worry about what happens to our flesh. We worry about what happens to our soul. We align our lives with dignity and strength of the Torah and walk in the ways of Elohim. And so with that, guys, we're going to wrap this up. To those of you who make it to the very end of these readings, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you for being a part of this family enough. I have nothing but love for you guys. And as we clean our hearts up and wash our hands and walk the way of Elohim, never give up. Never be satisfied with how we are. Always be striving for more scriptures and more understanding and more wisdom. And pray for wisdom. Our Creator will give it to us. And with wisdom comes great responsibility because we will know the truth and the truth will set us free. So with that, everybody, I love y'all. Shalom, shalom. Until we meet again.